No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for December 30th, 2024. This is the final recap of Monday Night Raw on the USA Network, of course. Next week, WWE officially moves to Netflix. Shout out to the Cleaver, Colin Andrew, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Cleaver. Says, end of an era for Raw. Cheers, Aaron and No DQ family. Much love to you, Colin. And like you said, it is the end of an era. Monday Night Raw premiered on the USA Network in January of 1993. Other than the 5-year period where WWE Raw was on Spike TV, it was on USA Network. It is truly an end of an era. Raw moving away from cable television. Crazy times we're living in. But yeah, 2025 is shaping up to be a very interesting year in the world of wrestling. Now, let's discuss this final Raw on USA Network. We had Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore doing the introduction. They brought up how there would be limited commercials for the first half hour of the show. Actually, first hour of the show. First 30 minutes was completely commercial free. Jey Uso was supposed to come out there for the beginning, but instead we had the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, still with their old music for now, but they were very quick to have the music cut off. They tried to cut a promo, and just like the last couple of weeks, the fans were booing them heavily anytime they tried to talk. Jey Uso then made his entrance. Lots of cheers for Jey Uso. Crowd yeeting. He got into the ring. New Day brought up how they go way back. They tried to get Jey to calm the fans down. Jey only had one thing to say. New Day sucks. Crowd was chanting, New Day sucks. New Day were disgusted. They just left the ring. Then Jey got on the mic, said that he had some other issues to address. He called out Drew McIntyre, but instead of McIntyre, the new bloodline appeared on the big screen. Solo Sikoa said that Jey should have sided with the real bloodline. Solo vowed to beat Roman Reigns, remain tribal chief, and then said that Jey Uso, along with everybody else, will acknowledge him. Then all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre showed up. He attacked Jey Uso from behind in the ring. He went for the Claymore, but officials came out there to stop it from happening. And then McIntyre left the ring, but then got back into the ring, ran in, hit Jey Uso with the Claymore, and left him laying. Very good segment here to open up the show. I liked the stuff with the New Day. And they set up the Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso match. We'll talk more about that in just a few moments. Now we had Chad Gable cut a pre-match promo for his match against Otis. Gable said it was time to kill his darlings, and Otis was going to receive his final lesson. We had our match. Otis was having his way with Gable in the early going, but then Otis charged at Gable, hit the ring post. Gable took control, came off the top with the top rope headbutt, but he missed. Then Otis hit the caterpillar, and then he went for the cover, but you had the Creed brothers putting Gable's foot on the rope. We had a brawl on the outside of the ring between Alpha Academy and American Made, and Maxine Dupree even went after Ivy Nile and laid her out with some punches. Then the match resumed in the ring. Anytime Otis was gaining the upper hand, you had the interference. You had the Creeds getting on the apron. They got attacked. And then Gable was able to give Otis a deadlift German suplex. but Otis regained the upper hand. Then Ivy Nile grabbed Otis's foot. Gable was able to take advantage of this, and Gable applied the ankle lock. Otis fought and fought, but finally could not escape. He tapped out. Chad Gable picks up the big win. I think it's the right call. Gable picks up some momentum. Really good match. This was a great TV match, and it also had the benefit of no commercials. It could have been on a WWE Premium Live event. Great stuff here from these guys. Very enjoyable. They finally blew off this feud, I presume at least, because I feel like American Made will end up on SmackDown. Maybe Otis ends up on SmackDown too, but I really think this should be it. Gable wins. Let's move on. We had a video package to hype up Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for next week's Raw on Netflix premiere. Both of them basically saying the same thing. The feud has to end next week, and that it likely will. I think we're getting a new champion personally, but we'll see what happens. I feel like Rhea has to get the last laugh here. R-Truth made his entrance for his match with Pete Dunne. He was cutting his rap promo, but then he got jumped from behind by Pete Dunne, and, well, there was no match. Not complaining. Didn't really need a match here. Maybe they'll have one next week or in 2 weeks. We'll see. Dakota Kai cut a pre-match promo for her Intercontinental title tournament match with Zoey Stark. Said it would be an honor to face Io Sky, her Damage Control partner, for the championship. We had the match with Zoey Stark. Pretty good match here with the two of them. It was back and forth. Zoey Stark got in a lot of offense. She gave Dakota this flipping exploder suplex, then hit her with a knee to the face. Dakota, though, kicked out, and then Zoey went for her springboard drop kick or something along those lines, but Dakota caught her with a kick and then hit her with the Pele and got the 1-2-3 victory. I think it was the right call for Dakota to win. She's a fan favorite. Get her in there. Maybe she's going to be the first champion. Put her in the finals. I'm all for it. Solid match here. And then we had the entrance of the Judgment Day. And I do not think Judgment Day will be disbanding because they got new music. And it sounded like some generic rap track that you would hear from an AEW wrestler. It sounded like something like an AEW theme song. It really did. I'm not feeling it. I really don't think Judgment Day should stay as a faction much longer. I really feel like it's played out. But yeah, no more Alter Bridge for Judgment Day. The new theme song, very meh, very mid. Funny thing is, when I heard the music, my first thought was Penta was coming out because it reminded me of one of those generic AEW rap tracks. But yeah, it's Judgment Day's new theme song. Colin Andrew, who is a musician, thinks it's a horrible theme song. So he's got more credibility than I do when it comes to judging music, and he says it's horrible. There you go. Judgment Day had their match against the War Raiders and Damian Priest. 6-man tag team match. Fairly standard 6-man match. Not too much noteworthy about this one. Good guys dominated early. Then Judgment Day got the upper hand for a while. Then Damian Priest came in, went after Dominic Mysterio. Things broke down a little bit. And then Damian Priest pinned Dominic to pick up the win. Then Finn Balor attacked Damian Priest after the match, got in a little bit of a cheap shot, and then took his leave. So I guess we'll see one more Damian Priest and Finn Balor match, but I really think it's time for Priest to move on to something else. I mean, he needs to be away from Judgment Day. And yes, I am a son of a musician and I did play saxophone. So I have a little bit of music expertise, I guess you could say. I think the song is terrible, personally. It just such a downgrade from Alter Bridge as far as I'm concerned. And now they've kind of lost their cool factor for me. Not that I feel like they should have stuck around as a tag team much longer, but after Judgment Day loses with Liv Morgan dropping the title, I really think they need to probably work on disbanding the group. Just my opinion, though. Not sure what else you can do with them. And you know, Finn Balor, he's great and all, but JD McDonough, Carlito, they're basically enhancement talent. Let's be real here. I mean, JD McDonough is a great bumper. And that's why he's there. That's why he has the job. But yeah, there's not much credibility left with the group ever since Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest left. Adam Pearce made it official. So we got another big match set for next week's Raw. We got Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. They got a stacked card for next week's Raw on Netflix. Looking forward to that one. We had another little vignette for what is certainly Penta now. If there was any doubt before, they had the image of his mask. I mean, it's clearly Penta at this point. Coming in the near future, next week, couple weeks. We'll see. Shout out to Michael, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. I appreciate it. Michael says a Dirty Dom-led Judgment Day is coming. I like Dominic a lot. He's great, but he's barely above JD McDonough and Carlito as far as the credibility goes. You know, Dominic he's like Austin Theory in a way, but I think more entertaining personally. But he's basically in that role where he's putting over the good guys. He goes out there and then he gets his ass kicked. So the problem with Judgment Day is they don't have like that really dominant member of the group who's clearly at a main event level. You know, without Priest, they don't got much going for them at this point. And Balor is like slightly above Dominic, but still far down from where Priest was when Priest was in the group. We had Ludwig Kaiser out there, and he wanted everybody to demand, or he was demanding their gratitude for him. He said that he should be a top guy, and he demanded that Braun Breaker bring his Intercontinental Championship down. But instead of Braun Breaker, we got Sheamus. Sheamus, first time since Survivor Series, showed up, had a brawl with Kaiser. Kaiser tried to gouge him in the eyes, but Sheamus fought him off and then went for the bro kick, and Ludwig Kaiser escaped to the outside of the ring. This feud continues with these guys. I mean, they always put out banger after banger, I must say, but another feud that might want to wrap it up soon and maybe switch one of them depending on where they plan to take the Imperium group, which is just two guys at this point. Does Ludwig Kaiser go to SmackDown with Tiffany Stratton since they're a real-life couple? Maybe Sheamus goes to SmackDown, but yeah, I think that, you know, one of those guys should probably be switching brands in the near future. Shout out to D. Martin Fifth, who sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, D. Martin. I appreciate it very much. We're on the topic of Judgment Day tonight. Should Judgment Day rebrand and call themselves what it says on Dominic's shirt, Street Trash? No. And when that rumor first came out, I thought that that was ridiculous. I don't think there's any point in rebranding. And hey, I do think at some point Dominic is going to turn babyface. And he's going to be really over with the fans when he finally turns. I don't think he needs to stay in another faction. If anything, maybe Dominic turns face, and that is what ends Judgment Day. But yeah, I don't see them rebranding. I'm not a fan of the music change, so we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, I'm ready for some kind of a change with the group. That's for sure. Just don't change the name. There's really no need to change the name at this point. Backstage, we had Rey Mysterio trying to encourage Otis. Next time, Otis will do better. He'll whip Gable's ass. Then we had the New Day confronting Rey Mysterio, and Mysterio proposed a match for next week, and New Day accepted. And it was teased that Rey will not have somebody in the LWO as his partner, because New Day was like, well, you're just going to get one of these guys as your partner. Definitely felt like they're building to something else. So, as I mentioned earlier, maybe this is Penta coming in as Rey Mysterio's partner. It really should be, even though I worry that Penta will be thrown into the LWO with the rest of them. But Penta should debut next week. LA would be a great place to debut him. Home of Lucha Underground. You have a huge Hispanic audience. That would be the ideal place to debut him next week as Rey Mysterio's tag team partner. Now, here's an interesting comment. Could Penta turn against Rey? Would seem pretty random, but they could go that direction too and turn him heel right away. We'll see. I don't think that will happen. I think Penta will be a babyface, at least for the time being. And if they do some kind of a turn or split, that'll happen later down the line. We had our second Intercontinental title for the women semifinal match. Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria. You had Dakota Kai watching the match in the luxury suite. Very good match here. Very competitive, back and forth between these two. Io doing her signature moves like the missile drop kick and the moonsault to the outside. Lyra got in some offense, tornado DDT, and various other moves. And then Io went for the moonsault. Lyra avoided it. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." They traded near falls, going back and forth, and Lyra was finally able to counter Io, and Io took the fall, or took the pin here, ate the pin, I guess you could say. Lyra was the victor. Lyra got the win, and she will be facing Dakota Kai next week on Monday Night Raw. Netflix premiere. I think. Are they doing that? I'm actually not sure if they confirmed that or not, that the IC title match is next week, but you would think it would be. Yeah, really, really strong showings from the ladies here. Lyra and Dakota, definitely two of the workhorses. Oh, Matthew says it's in 2 weeks. So there you go. They didn't put everything. Not all the eggs are in one basket. They're saving it for 2 weeks, the IC title final. If they weren't going to do it next week, maybe they should have done it at Saturday night's main event. But you know what? You got to have something for week 2 on Netflix. I'm fine with that decision. They got plenty for next week's show. We had our final segment of the evening. This will be a fun one to talk about. The final Seth Rollins, CM Punk verbal confrontation before their match next week. And they were taking shots at each other. It was fun. I will say that. Rollins was in the ring by himself. He said it's the biggest fight in the sport, 10 years in the making. He said it's the self-proclaimed best in the world versus the real best in the world. And then Rollins said that if Punk loses, he'll probably take another 10 years off because he'll be so frustrated. He'll take his ball and go home again. Then CM Punk arrived and he questioned, did Steve Austin take his ball and go home? Did Rollins' wife, Becky Lynch, take her ball and go home? Punk said that he did not abandon the people. He abandoned Seth Rollins, people like Rollins. He said he had no regrets for what he did. And he asked Rollins how his neck is, how his knee is. Punk said, once again, that he's not there to make friends. He's there to make money. Rollins had a response. Rollins brought up how his wife just took a break to raise a kid, something that CM Punk knows nothing about. Ouch. And then Rollins said that Austin knew it was a mistake to walk out. And Punk was different. Punk wanted WWE to die. And then Punk, after taking shots at WWE, according to Rollins, Punk took a big chunk of change to join the competition. And Rollins wanted to know, how did that work out for CM Punk? Great line here. The crowd was oohing and on. And Rollins said that while Punk was gone, he stayed in WWE and continued to fight. Now, Punk had his response, and Punk said that he loved the place he worked at. He just hated the guy in charge. Obviously a reference to Vince McMahon, but he didn't say Vince's name. And he said that guy, Vince, didn't say his name, just happened to love Seth Rollins. And Punk said he left because he had to. He had all these arrows stuck in him. And over the years, he was able to pull them out. And he said that he came back because the fans were chanting his name. And Punk said that they were chanting his name mostly during Seth Rollins' TV time. And Punk said he's pulled out all those arrows and he's going to shove them down Rollins' corporate throat. Rollins had his final response. He called Punk a cancer once again, said he's going to cut the cancer out, and then he said he is going to burn CM Punk to the ground. And we had the final stare down between these two guys as the show went off the air. Man, this was a hot segment. They were moving at a fast pace. They were spinning out these bombs at each other. Excellent final segment to hype up the match for next week. Great verbal confrontation. Reminded me of one of those awesome segments like during SmackDown Live when they were taking all the shots at each other, all the trash talking, or when Cena was ripping into Roman Reigns in 2017. Like, it had a lot of that fire that those great segments during that period had. So yeah, I really enjoyed this final segment. And overall, Raw was a very good show. Very strong final show on the USA Network. Opening segment was strong. I really liked the main event segment with the Rollins Punk promo. And you had some good wrestling on the show too. I really liked the Chad Gable versus Otis match. The women's intercontinental matches were good. So yeah, not too much to complain about. I give it a solid, strong B+. Very good episode of Monday Night Raw to end the USA Network era, to end the cable TV era of Monday Night Raw. Oh, and I forgot to mention, they did air a really cool video package just showcasing some of the great Monday Night Raw moments over the years. Needed some more Bret Hart, though. I feel like there wasn't enough Bret. I think of when Bret Hart dropped the profanity bomb on Monday Night Raw after getting screwed by Steve Austin. We needed that segment in there because that was an all-time great Raw moment. They had a lot of Austin's moments, like the stuff with Mike Tyson. You know, I don't think they really showed too much Vince, if anything. Do you guys recall if they showed anything with Vince in that video package? They did show Chris Jericho with his debut. They showed Edge getting beat up, kicked out of Judgment Day, and then some of Edge and Christian. So yeah, Edge, Chris Jericho made it. Matthew said they did show Vince. If they did, they probably didn't show too much. Were there any like really big moments that they left out of the video package? Oh yeah, and Daniel Bryan too. They showed him with the yes movement. Was there any really, in your opinion, chat room, any significant moment that they did not show in that video package? I mean, obviously, 30 years of history, there's only so much you can show in a 2-minute video package. So they're not going to include every big moment, but I feel like there were a couple of them missing. But overall, a really great promo to hype up the end of the era and to set up next week's Raw premiere on Netflix. Thank you all for watching the recap tonight. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. I will be back. We got the new year coming up. AEW Dynamite on New Year's Day. SmackDown, first 3-hour SmackDown on Friday. And then next Monday, the new era on Netflix, probably 3 hours. But I will be here. The recaps will continue in 2025. And thank you all so much. This is the last No DQ stream of 2024. And I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody out there. Thank you for your support. Saying yes to NoDQ.com. And go vote. No DQ year-end awards. The polls are closing. Vote for Weekly Show of the Year because we're neck and neck and we need to break that tie. And vote Tsunami for Finisher of the Year. We need to get that ahead. I don't think it's going to happen, but this is your last chance to vote. So go vote. NoDQ.com/awards. And all the links are there on that page. Have a great night, everyone. Happy New Year. Here's to a happy and prosperous 2025. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all in the new year. Take care, everybody.